Hey guys, Shock back here again with another video. So I'm actually doing just an updated pre-BIS list because I've done a couple mistakes over in my last video, as well as just bringing you forward like a full BIS list, as well as a quick discussion around some of the items where you can get them, as well as a change on some raid loot Blizzard has just published, undocumented. Wasn't in any patch notes, or like I haven't seen updates on that, and it's pretty crazy for Shaman. So we'll get to that, stick to the end to see what's being changed and how massive it is. So yeah, just straight up going into the lists. I'm actually using the WoW SIM app for Season of Discovery. You can see the URL at the top, but that's just pretty much a 60 upgrades and 80 upgrades, a website where you can fill in all your items that you want to sort of make a list for, and you can see where they drop, compare them, contrast them, as well as like simulate your raid buffs or like solo buff. Like I have a self buff pack here settings, and then a full raid buff one with all the consumes, so I can simulate damage and such, right? So without dragging this video hopefully for way too long, let's just go over the Pre-BIS list very quickly. Again, a lot of things similar as in my last video, but I have missed a couple things which I've seen a lot of shamans catch up to, so yeah, that's good. So first off, head item slot, Embrace of the Lycan, the updated one from Zulfarak, is like your pre-BIS. However, to be fair, the actual BIS is a quest item for Sunken Temple as well, Helm of the Exile, which has also been changed. So like obviously you can get this before your first trade into ST, but you definitely want to make sure you've picked up this quest in Hinterlands. It's for like I think the 5th or the 4th boss, so it's pretty easy BIS item to get, so you should target that. Over to the next slot, like the Pre-BIS here is actually the raid item from Gnomergan. To be fair, there's not a lot of neck options, so in case you haven't taken this already, you can probably do this quest to get the Woven Ivy necklace, which is not bad stats as well. And to be fair, the actual BIS is just 2 attack power better than the Gnomergan neck, and that drops in Sunken Temple as well, so it's actually one of the lower sort of impact items if you already got on the epic from Gnomer, so that's good. Over to the shoulder slot, there's the Drag Metal Spoders in Blackrock Depths. Insane stats, loads of agility, strength, intellect as well, which is attack power, so that's like really good. However, similar to the previous 2 items, the actual BIS is rather easy to obtain from leatherworking. Prices of the Sunken Temple items have dropped massively, and you do not need to clear the raid to get this item. To complete the quest, you basically need a empty or like a cleared ID. So potentially maybe you level up, and the first week you level up, you don't want to go to ST, or you can't, or you've cleared it already, or maybe you're on an out. Just get a clear ID, complete the quest, and just grab this item for you. It should be relatively cheap these days. Over to the back slot, Pre-BIS item is the Black Veil Cape from BRD, and to be fair, this is only 1 agility less than the actual BIS from the raid, so again, very low prio in terms of BIS item to chase in the cloak slot, as well as Drape of Dismantling being from Gnomergan being actually still pretty good. Obviously gives you a lot less offensive stats, but there's the stamina as well as just more strength compared to the other 2 options, so that's actually not a bad sort of placeholder meanwhile as well, right? Over to the chess piece, there's a couple chess pieces. What I've done and what I actually tried simming here in terms of the best like sort of DPS output Pre-BIS list is actually running 2 sets from the previous raid, Electromantic Chainmail, pants and chest. So you can get obviously the 2 set bonus for the attack power, but in case you don't have both, or maybe in last phase you've decided to pick up the leather version of the tier set, actually running insulated chest guard here and then the insulated pants as well, this is not bad as an option. And then for the chest you also have items like the Myxicologist tunic from BRD, which is pretty good. There is a Honor Guard chest piece as well, massive amount of strength from a quest as well. So in case you don't have again the tier set from previous raid, you can pick one of those 2 options and then actually mix and match it with some items for the pen slot, which to be fair there are not that many. There's obviously a couple of BOEs and world drops which you need to get with proper stats, and they might be a bit expensive. So again, the raid tier piece, or potentially what you can also do is grab the PvP item or the Ashen Vial Incursion sort of PvP set as well, right? Those PvP sets, both the Incursion one and the actual rank 7 one, are not bad. They have good stats, so in case you PvP'd or stacked a bunch of the honor recommendations to grab rank 7 quickly, you can potentially fill a lot of slots with the PvP items as well. But for now, we'll just keep it over with the tier set from the previous raid. Whether the leather or the mail, I feel the difference is minimal. Over to the bracer slot. Once again, the pre-BIS and the actual BIS option here is the exalted item from Warsong Gauge. You'd want to get the one with intellect, because intellect gets converted to attack power, so that's actually more attack power than the sort of quote-unquote melee one. And then also, if you're engineer, you can actually get the engineer crafting one, which is pretty much the exact same as the melee one from Warsong Gauge, but it has a nice sort of fear immunity effect. And it's just good, right? And again, this follows the same with the shoulders. You can actually craft this without having cleared the raid. However, if you're not engineer or you don't have Warsong Gauge exalted, you should just simply go for the Maraudon bracers. They're pretty good as well. Attack power and intellect, these are really nice. Weapons I'll get to in a second. The rest of the slots here, gloves, very simple. There's a Winterfall activity quest in Winter, not Winter Grasp, what was the zone? Winter Spring, yeah, of course, Winter Spring. So that's pretty good. They have an insane offensive stat, so that's just perfect until you can get your rate drop BIS, which is this one here. Over to the belt, we have one sort of really good pre-BIS option from BRD as well. As you can see here, a lot of the items are from BRD Arena or the Interrogator in BRD, so farming BRD Arena is actually a common thing for Shamans, although you can't get SGC for next phase. Loads of items there for us, and again, this belt, loads of attack power and then strength, which is one more attack power, so this is a really good belt. If you are not farming this, you can actually still use the one from last phase. The hit is not as important because in ST as well the bosses are only 2 levels above us, so maybe stacking hit is not going to be the most beneficial in terms of raw offensive stats, but again, this belt is actually not bad either, so feel free to go for this as well. The pants we already discussed. Boots, I'm not going to recommend the previous tier set because they're actually pretty bad. There's like one straight up like super good pre-BIS option, again Anubisah from Blackrock Depths Arena, Shadefin boots, as you can see here, massive amount of strength and Naji, really good. You can also grab these ones from Zul'Farrak, which are again less strength but more agility. They are also a decent option. You can farm either of those two. Probably the Zul'Farrak ones would be easier to get a hold on, but Shadefin boots are just amazing. Over to the ring slot here, pretty standard. Blackstone ring from Maraudon, or sort of the new equivalent from 12 Wild Offerings is the Ban of the Wilds, which is the exact same item and just gives you an extra spell hit as well as the melee hit. And then the second option here really is just the Warsong Gauge Honor Trink, which is massive amounts of strength and agility. Is really good as well. And you'll see here over in the B section as well, the trinks are very easy to obtain, and you shouldn't be putting too much thought in them. Now, something that is not easy to obtain is actually your trinkets, or at least one of them. The first one, Rune of the Guard Captain, is a Hinterlands Elite quest, very easy to do. You can actually just solo that or just grab a group of friends and clean the whole elite place. The trinket is great, flat attack power and hit is very good. You have options here to use the one from the previous raid, which is essentially just worse version of Rune of the Guard Captain. Even if you have the cooldown on, it might get you a bit more damage, but it's on a 30-minute cooldown and you use the hit, lose the hit for it, right? So this is not a bad option, and what you'll probably be using Rune of the Guard Captain and the Gnomergan trinket until you get your hands on Dark Moon card DK. Now the Dark Moon cards are very expensive, very hard to farm. You need to collect all 8 cards. You need Dark Moon to be in town to go in and get the trinket. So actually this week, as of the time of recording this video, Dark Moon Fair is not in town, so you can't actually grab this card for potentially your Wednesday raid, but it's actually back next week. And a very good note here is to also mention Sandstorm, which tends to be the more expensive one than DK. However, Sandstorm was nerfed, it still does a lot of single target damage, but I think DK, like the common community consensus is that DK is just better for single target, and most of the fights in Sunken Temple, especially when you're full raid buffed and trying to cheese them, and bosses die very fast. Again, DK probably better buck for your money. But again, Sandstorm is not bad as well, and it's insane in AoE form, like AoE farms, Shade of Veronicus boss and whatnot. So really good option as well. And then honorable mentions, Bread of the Beast without Wild Offerings is also good. Now, I've tried to do a whole lot of sims, and I don't feel like this is ever in any sort of Pre-BIS or BIS list. I don't think it ever seems better than any of the other options, even without using DK. Like you'd probably just use Rune of the Guard Captain and the one from Gnomer. Again, that would be sort of how your Pre-BIS, I feel, looks like until you get your hands on a Dark Moon card. And then finally, weapons, main hand. The biggest mistake I've done in the last video. The best main hand Pre-BIS option is Belgrom's Hammer. The item is just crazy. It's a quest, very easy to do. Main hand, 2.8 speed, 10 strength, loads of damage. This is just the best option for us, and it actually pairs amazingly well with our second offhand Pre-BIS, which is the actual fist weapon from Gnomergan, with both weapons being 2.8 speed. Now you might think, okay, so this is a raid drop and it's like from last phase, isn't there anything better? To be fair, there's hardly anything better. The only like honestly better option is Smashing Star, which is a world drop random enhancement item, and you really need this to proc with, I believe, strength or of strength or of the tiger in order to be like valid or like better even. So yeah, you can look at maybe scalping the Action House for this, and then maybe you never actually go on Cogmaster's Claw, which will definitely leave you with Smashing Star as an option. Everything else here is pretty much very fast weapons. Even if they give a lot of damage stat, they just don't seem as good, and Enhancement just loves the slow weapons, the Storm Strike, the Lava Lash, the auto attack procs of Wind Fury as well, right? So Smashing Star or Cogmaster Claw would be the way to go. So this is in terms of Pre-BIS. Again, nothing super different from last time, but a couple of options I've updated, hopefully given you an insight, and then we'll move over to the BIS list as well. BIS list is very straightforward, and as soon as we cover it, I'll cover the brand new massive insane change Blizzard have done, as well as just quickly go over the enchants, because there is a bit of debate there as well. Like they're very expensive, the enchants, that is. So in terms of BIS list, let's go over quickly. Helm of Exile, I've already mentioned this, the best seeming head, the best head in the game for us. Intellect becomes attack power, so this is a whopping 54 attack power with agility, which is critical. So just complete this quest on your first ST run and you're set to go for like for forever, right? Or for this phase anyway. Onto the neck, again we mentioned this item is just to attack power better than the Gnomergan neck, and you're losing the stamina, so I will feel a very low prio item. This should probably be the last item you ever obtain, because the Gnomergan one is better and it's epic. Or well, it's not better, but it gives stamina and it's epic. Over to the shoulders, we've mentioned those already. The leatherworking crafted item, like this is just great. You can do it on a MTST ID, so, and they are not that expensive these days, so you can focus grabbing those. Definitely make sure you get the Cacophonous Chain shoulder guards and not any other version of the leatherworking crafted epics, because this is the best for us, as the proc gives us attack speed and the actual itemization is insane for us. Over to the cape, again we've mentioned this Panther Fur Cloak from the raid, but it's a single agility behind Black Veil Cape from BRD, so again very low prio item. You shouldn't be worrying about this. Over to the chest piece, and again chest, pants and boots. Again we're actually going to be using the tier set. The tier set is insane. The bonus, the 3-piece bonus is really good. All the stats on these items are really good. Nothing is remotely as close to those. Now obviously there's a case to be done. If you're maybe 2 out of 3 or 1 out of 3, what do you feel the rest of this slot suite? But as I mentioned just previously on my Pre-BIS list, I'll look to use the previous rate tier sets or some of the available quest options, such as Honor Guard chest piece, to sort of fill the gaps until you get the full tier set. Over to the bracers, I mentioned again the engineering crafted if you're an engineer, if not the Warsong Gulch one. There's no debate here, that's just the best. And with Warzone Gauge, a Shenval event being daily now, you should be able to boost yourself to Exalted if you didn't bother in previous phases maybe. So that would be grabbing those Windstalker Risk Guards as soon as you hit Exalted if you're not an engineer, right? Over to the right hand side here, polluted Murkwater Gauntlets, very similar to the Waste Guard of Pain. Both of those items drop in the rate, and they give us strength, stamina, and intellect, or strength, agility, and intellect. And both of those items are just the BIS versions. They're really good. All of these stats contribute to us. Maybe you can do a sort of a debate in terms of the Murkwater Gauntlets, that Gloves of the Pathfinder give you more offensive stat compared to the Murkwater ones. However, Murkwater ones give you more raw attack power in terms of more strength, and then the added intellect as well. And with the more gear you get, the more you should be valuing strength and attack power over critical, because fully rate buffed you have tons of critical. I currently have 20% unbuffed with this set, and if I put the full rate buff, that jumps to 40. So at this point, you should really just be putting everything you can to get extra strength and attack power. So that's why the choice here is the gauntlets. And then Waste Guard of Pain as well, no contention here, is insane, gives us lots of offensive stats. The double tier set we've mentioned already. In terms of rings, you can see here that the actual BIS item and the one that you get from completing the quest in ST, once you get the drop from the last boss, is the exact same item as Blackstone Ring and Band of the Wilds. Obviously with spell hit, so it's basically the exact same Band of the Wilds, however with extra stamina, right? So it's very low prior to ever chase this item. Obviously you can soft reserve it if you're doing that, or win it eventually, since there are 2 of those dropping every time you kill the last boss. But again, there's no damage difference. Like, you should just be fine running Band of the Wilds instead, until you get this, or even Blackstone Ring. And then the second option is actually, again, still the Legionnaires banned from Warzone Connard, which basically everybody and their mums and dads have already. So very simple choice for rings. And then actual trinket situation doesn't really change. DK, as I've mentioned, is still the best. You can obviously get this pre-rate when Dark Moon Fair is in town and you farmed enough gold, or maybe got lucky on the expensive cards. And then Rune of the Guard Captain is still pretty good. I am not really a fan of the Rate Atalai Blood Ritual Medallion. Like, this is just flat attack power when you use it on a 2-minute cooldown is not bad, but I haven't managed to get good sims with this, and I don't have the trinket to actually test it myself. So maybe once I get it, maybe on faster boss fights, popping this, and then maybe also using the trinket from the Nightmare Incursions as well, which is a 5-minute cooldown, gives you loads of attack power. If maybe the fights last very quickly, like the first boss, you can use those unused cheesy trinkets to pop them up and then just be very boosted in terms of attack power. However, generally speaking, I'll just be running those two probably until the end of the phase. And now weapons is the interesting bit. There's no like big secret. Everybody probably already knows that the best weapons you can use are Rip Splitter of specifically strength or power, or strength and I believe, where is it? Not bear, not board, agility, and oh yeah, okay. So it's either strength, tiger, or power. Those are the 3 ones that give you pure offensive stats. Those are very hard items to come by, very expensive on the auction house, drop only in BRD trash. You can't really farm it. Even if you farm it, you can't really guarantee what stats it will have. And this is the straight up BIS currently, right? Second to it is, of course, using X of the Atalai Executioner from ST, and just using 2 of those, right? So and then again, there's nothing better in the offhand as well, as this axe is one hand. If you can actually see here currently in game, I'm using the X because I got very lucky on my second raid, and I'm still using Belgrom's hammer from the raid. Right, so far nothing special, you all knew that. However, what you might not know is that I believe as of last night, Blizzard have created rather added new options in the Yojomba vendors in STV, where you can buy your raid pieces. I'm assuming the same vendor is in ST as well, same change, where you can actually convert the Sunken Temple offhand set fist weapon from, the double fist weapons that got released this phase, so the Cobra Fang Claw set, Serpent Ascension set. They've changed it so you can actually turn the 1.5 offhand that you get from the boss as per the loot table. You can convert it in a 2.6 offhand fist weapon. And again, I believe it gives the exact same stats, right? Like, let me just check. Where is it? Yeah, so stats are the same. However, speed is up to 2.6 and the damage therefore is normalized according to that. So instead of 42 to 78, this is doing whooping 73 to 136, which if I actually see X of Atalai Executioner is even more low end and high end damage on this fist weapon now. Now, why is this crazy? Why is this good? Why potentially this could be our new BIS? Unfortunately, the sim app hasn't updated it. I don't have either of those items. Nobody really wanted those items as a shaman, and it's quite sad because these are very clearly shaman fist weapons, especially if you're looking at the offhand proc, which is procking for extra nature resistance, similar to Mechatork's Shredder in last phase. This is potentially really good for us because now that the offhand is 2.6 and not 1.5. Even if with both epics you might be simming a bit less or doing overall a bit less damage because they're not as slow as the Atalai Axis, and obviously if you're an orc you don't have the extra fist weapon skill, and we're not gonna get the extra sort of weapon skill situation sorted until next phase. However, if you do manage to get your hands on both of those, that means you'll be completing the set, and the set is nothing to scoff at since it's proccing for 150 attack power for 12 seconds. Plus you'll be able to use the offhand proc, so in case maybe a warrior in your raid still doesn't have it, you'll be doing this raid debuff on the boss, which increases your overall raid damage. And then obviously let's not forget that the actual main hand is pretty good with an extra with a proc for an extra attack, so basically a Wind Fury. So basically if I show you here basically the full BIS sim without any buffs here, 770. I'm probably missing something, it should be a bit more than that, but let's just use this 770 as like sort of a baseline with this current set. And if I just put back Cobra Fang Claw, this is by the way no world buffs, right? Nothing, so that's just simply purely buffed yourself. And you put Cobra Fang Claw, you're losing like 10 DPS, so that's basically, I want to say, nothing. And then also you imagine you're actually using the Serpent Striker here, which obviously if I sim now is gonna lose me like 30 to 40 DPS. But now imagine this is 2.6, does a lot more top end damage. You take in consideration the proc, the set bonus, and then also that fully world buffed things like Wind Fury procs or extra attacks are scaling even better because like your attack power goes crazy, 40% critical goes crazy. So all those things scale very, very good with world buffs. And yeah, potentially this might be the BIS for us now, guys, which will be very nice because like I've always liked to like sort of chase those nice epic drops, and basically Blizzard saying this is 1.5 offhand meant that we'll never use it, which probably meant we'll never use the main hand as well because like it wouldn't be worth it just for the Wind Fury proc. But now that they've made this extra vendor or rather extra vendor option for the raid where you can change your offhand to a slower one, first time in I believe ever Blizzard has done such a change to Season of Discovery or any phase. That would be very nice. And then the final bit that I wanted to mention is enchant-wise. Enchant-wise, it's pretty expensive, I want to say, because a lot of the enchants cost a lot of gold. Basically, what you want to be doing is get yourself 5 strength on gloves. There is greater agility, but this is more expensive and I feel less good because you, as I mentioned earlier, want the strength. This is for gloves. For bracers, there's a 9 strength enchant, which is very rare and very expensive. You can substitute with 7 strength until you ideally farm the gold or get your BIS to actually put the BIS enchant on it. For chest, it's just plus 3 stats, pretty simple. For boots, it's plus 7 agility, again, very expensive. New phase enchant, 8 greater eternal essences is gonna cost you about 50 to 60 G. You can actually substitute that with just 5 agility until then. 2 agility is not going to change your game. And then boots and pants is actually where it gets a bit crazy now. These are the Libram books from Burning Steps. These are world drops. They cost a lot of gold, and Voracity is the most expensive, most sought after one that gives you 8 strength on either of those slots. And this costs between 300 and 400 gold, plus you need to do a couple of quests and potentially grab a couple more mats to sort of get the turn in. in order to get the enchant. So what I can do and what I've done, guys, what I can suggest is, as soon as you get your Helm of Exile, maybe farm up that Voracity enchant so you can put that BIS enchant on it. But obviously, as you can see here, I don't have the tier pants yet, so I haven't bothered to actually put the enchant on them, since I will be changing them. So ideally I'll get the tier set, and then you again farm up the gold to put the best enchant on the pants as well. And then shoulders, there's obviously the new enchant from Sunken Temple, which should have lowered in price, but that was about 150 G. Gives you 15 attack power. The cloak enchant is still 3 agility, that's pretty standard. And then again, the big one is the weapon enchants. Now, weapon enchants, there's essentially two different options. You can do the sort of cheaper 40 to 50 gold fiery weapon, which with less gear and without world buffs, and in any form of solo play seems almost as good, even if not better than the actual 15 strength enchant. It's pretty good. Fire proc is fine. Now obviously, when you put in consideration full world buffs, full consumables, and like sort of going for these pumper groups with DMF in Sunken Temple, obviously strength will be better because of things like stats percentage buffs, the lion buff, the mental dexterity conversion to attack power, to spell power. So essentially I'm saying that plus 15 strength is your BIS option. However, it costs loads of gold. This is about 250 gold enchant on my server anyway, leaving Flame EU. So in that sense, what I would be probably doing if I was you guys is using fiery weapon until I get those BIS weapons, and then slapping the strength as soon as I'm able to farm this. And to be fair, that's exactly what I've done. If you see, I've gotten an axe of the Atalaya Executioner that I did diligently farm gold and put in the massive 15 strength enchant on it, whereas my Belgrum Hammer is still having fiery weapon because it was just 40 gold, so a lot more affordable, right? However, obviously, now that I've said this, with these new fist weapons, and or rather the change to the offhand, we might be looking at those being the best in slot options, which means I might have lost 15 strength enchant, or rather 200 gold on this Atalaya Executioner enchant. But yeah, and yeah, finally I can mention as well the actual tool in terms of simming here, and in terms of doing all these options you can see here. That's basically your full set of raid consumes here that you should prepare for every raid. Like, this is if you want to min-max it. You can do different options here, what type of classes you have in your group in order to sim your damage, but then also what, as I said already, you can use this is a guide to basically the consumes you need to prepare if you want to realistically min-max your PvE experience. So yeah, that's basically it, guys. Massive change here, very good for Shaman, potentially BIS loot for us coming mid-phase. And yeah, thank you all so much for listening and tuning in. Let me know what else you want to see, like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.